'Cause The View is live. Bull sessions?
I don't recall. I don't recall. I don't not recall.
The Attorney General's memory lapse while getting grilled on the Hill about Russia.
I have racked my brain and I do not believe so.
And Beefcake Blake. People magazine crowned Blake Shelton as the sexiest man alive. Do the ladies want to add any names to the list?
Pay for your purchases and get out and come again.
Has one of the most beloved shows on TV, The Simpsons, been mocking Indians with a racist stereotype for 3 decades?
Right away, they were like, can you do an Indian voice, and how offensive can you make it?
Comedian Kondabolu uncovers racism he says you may have never realized, and his struggle to solve the problem with Apu. Let's go! Let's light up Hot Topics with Whoopi, Sarah Haynes, Joy Behar, Sunny Hostin, and Meghan McCain. Now, let's get things started.
I cannot believe that we are having to do this yet again in our country, but our hearts go out to everyone being impacted by yet another shooting rampage in Northern California that's left at least 5 people dead. The shooter attempted and failed to get into an elementary school that went into lockdown thanks to those teachers. And all of those people, the teachers, the security people, all of those people, unfortunately knew exactly what to do and how to keep this person out. And this all apparently stemmed from another neighbor issue.
A dispute.
A dispute.
And the guy had a semi-automatic rifle, just like the other one had.
Why go to an elementary school? I mean, with children, it boggles my mind.
You know what was fascinating? I was watching the TV yesterday, Jeff Sessions, which we're going to be talking about, and the hearings, etc. And on my iPhone pops up this horrible thing. They did not interrupt anything on MSNBC or CNN. I go back and forth with those two. So it's almost become, you know, oh, it's the usual thing, no big deal anymore.
I think that's dangerous. The Texas shooting, which was like the largest in Texas history, was one of the largest here in the country at large. And it's a week and a half later, and we're already finding ourselves moving on.
Are we desensitized to it, you think, at this point?
I hope not. The audience seems to say yes. I mean, I don't think you're necessarily wrong, ma'am. I don't know the answer to this problem. I don't think anybody really does. I think that collectively it's so politicized. It's a hard thing to talk about. You're talking about babies and children at schools. I mean, there's debatably, like, I can think of few things that are more dark than that. I know that on this show I'm very proud of the conversations we have because it's both sides and it's very respectful and we're not screaming at each other, which is different than a lot of things that happen on cable.
And I also want to say that one of the things I would like to see stopped is when these things happen, please let's stop glorifying the people who do it. Please stop showing the pictures of those people over and over and over. Learn the names of the victims and let's talk about the victims and celebrate them because I don't want to see any more of these people. I don't want to see them over and over and over. Forget it. Because it seems to spark something in people. And maybe if we show the children or the victims, that will spark in a different direction. My fingers are crossed on this.
And when Sunny was saying that, like, have we become desensitized, I think...
I wonder that.
Well, I think the problem here also is there's a certain element of... Well, sorry, you asked about why schools. I think in some ways they're trying to outdo the next one for their own fame. And so if we keep reducing them to just shooter, just call them shooter.
Anderson Cooper's been doing that for a long time.
You got to, because they're looking for outdoing the last one.
The Virginia Tech shooting, when I remember remember watching the shooter's manifesto on news, and they were showing he had this whole rampage about why he was doing it. And at the time, I was like, this is so deeply irresponsible because what he wants is for us to know his psychotic reasons for doing this. I agree.
So, now, on to something totally different. Yesterday, a House Judiciary Committee grilled Attorney General Jeff Sessions on what he knew about the current White House residents' dealings with Russia during the campaign. Now, the Huffington Post noted that there is a definite theme to these proceedings. Please take a look.
But I did not recall. I don't recall. I don't recall. I don't recall it.
You don't recall?
I don't recall at this moment. I don't recall. I do not recall. I don't recall. I do not recall. I don't recall.
The gentleman keeps saying he cannot recall. He cannot recall. So I'm reclaiming my time.
I did not recall. I don't recall. I don't recall. I don't recall him saying that. I don't recall. I don't recall.
I cannot imagine your memory would fail you so much.
They all seem to have amnesia when it comes to Russia. It's like herpes. It's like a virus that they have.
How long do you think the committee is going to accept the memories?
I think they can accept it for a long time because that's a legal term of art, actually. So if you say, I don't recall or I don't remember, you can't be prosecuted for perjury because you didn't knowingly lie.
Yeah,
and that is why he's using it.
During this whole hearing yesterday, Jeffries, one of the congressmen,
Hakeem Jeffries.
He's asserted that Sessions had previously criticized Hillary Clinton for her lack of recall during an FBI interview and said intentionally forgetting, and what's his name? Sessions said that intentionally forgetting might be criminal.
Hakeem is very smart.
What he said is, do you believe that the intentional failure to remember can constitute a criminal act? Sessions responded, if it's an act to deceive.
And it's very difficult to prove that. Hakeem and I went to college together. He's very, very smart, and that's the issue he was trying to get to.
The one thing I will say is that campaigns are deeply chaotic animals by nature, and the Trump campaign in particular was like even next level beyond that. They had 4 different campaign managers, highly unusual. At most, you normally have 1. I had actually never heard of anyone having more than that unless it was like an up-and-coming candidate that wasn't doing that well. It was deeply chaotic. I have been in rooms during strategy meetings where there were so many people in the room, I certainly wouldn't have remembered anyone. So is there a realm of possibility that, yes, he didn't remember that this George Papadopoulos person who's been described as a coffee boy was in the room? Yes, it's possible. The problem here is the content of someone talking about Russia is what's unusual.
That's what they think
that is what.
He remembers that he said, but we can't talk about that. So he remembers his heroism.
Wait, one second. Sonny, as a lawyer, though, when someone doesn't recall the first time, you can almost forgive it. But then don't you say to them, as my client, I need you to, now you've messed up once. Now we need to think about everything.
You can refresh someone's
But
recollection.
at the very least, isn't this bad memory a disqualifying feature of someone who is in that position?
The Attorney General?
Not necessarily. But I will say that also the other problem, I always forget to let the audience clap. I'm sorry, but still old cable news habits. But the one thing I will say is that they were also very bad about paper trails on this campaign, which is also unusual because normally if you've been doing this a long time, you know, never put anything in writing. And now we have these like messages between WikiLeaks and Don Jr. So if there is, God forbid, a smoking gun, I mean, that is something that you could be possibly in.
And also, you know, Steve Cohen, Representative Steve Cohen, also tried to figure out his opposition to marijuana. You know, Sessions has been like crazy on this. So last year, Sessions said U.S. leaders should send a message that good people don't smoke marijuana.
I know a lot of good people.
But here's what's wonderful: when Representative Steve Cohen said to him, well, how about, you know, this man and this man, or ex-presidents, just various people.
And medical marijuana.
Who in their lifetime said, yes, I smoked. He said,
but I
do you
didn't
think
inhale,
that, do you think that they're bad people? Are you saying they're bad people? And he kind of said...
I mean, then, honey, I'm a real bad person, if that's his definition of it. But I will say the problem with this argument, too, is as conservatives, we're supposed to be for really limited government, and the idea of this government overreach on marijuana, I think, is deeply outdated. And the argument that you can tax it and the economic benefits specifically from marijuana and the legalization of it, I do not understand why we're not having
and doesn't marijuana kill your
crazy.
memory? Maybe
It's
he's
the whole
stoned the whole time.
We'll be right back with more Hot Topics.
And now, some advice to our guests coming to The View.
When you step onto this stage, face these ladies, oh, you better be ready to roll, cause it is so on. This November, The View is everything.
Bam, drop the mic.
Taking on the hottest topics. Then we're dialing things up with, oh, you ready? Tyler Perry, Justin Hartley, Garth Brooks, Diana Ross, that's Miss Ross to you, and Kelly Clarkson. Oh, wait, that's Kelly's song in this promo. Love so soft. Nice.
Wait, there's more.
Yeah, we're also throwing Sarah the most awesome baby shower ever. Hashtag crazy. This November, The View is everything on ABC.
Get a jump.
Still ahead, has The Simpsons been mocking Indian people with a racist stereotype for almost 3 decades?
This is the legendary Jumbo Golden Squishy Cup.
Comedian Kondabolu talks about the problem with a poo.
Welcome back. All right, y'all. All right. Actress Gabby Sidibe, who used an interesting technique to handle an online troll who made a nasty comment about her on Instagram. She posted an extremely polite reply saying this person is clearly mad about something and looking for attention, so she's extending her hand in prayer in the hopes that her heart will be healed. Now, we know
that's nice
that yes, but we also know other folks who have extended their hands to sort of boneheadian people. I would like to turn this over to you, baby.
Well, I had an experience over the weekend where I go back and forth to D.C. every weekend, and I was on the train, and someone tweeted me the nastiest tweet I've had in a long time, basically saying he wishes my father a painful death soon. I know, exactly. So I answered, I hope you find God and love because neither are present in any way in your life. I will pray for you tonight to find peace. I'm a little more intense than Gabby. I went beyond that. I screenshotted the tweet, and I put his name and where he was from, and I said, the internet is forever, blank person. Long story short, he did end up losing his job because he worked for a Catholic charity. So I don't take pleasure in other people's pain, and I don't take pleasure in people losing jobs, especially in this economy. But I do think people really need to understand in the kind of climate we're in, the things you put online, people see, it's forever. It hurt me. I got angry. Yes. And there are real-life ramifications. Now you don't have a job.
But that type of hatred does not belong working in a Catholic charity.
No. Definitely not. Exactly.
Megan, I've been pitching forever an investigative report on some of these people that are online because they lead double lives as parts of their community, as parents, grandparents. So I took a couple of those people to task too, not quite as gracefully as her either, but I wrote just a few of them that I saw and said that we are working on a story because I've been pitching this for literally 3 years about online bullies and the second lives they lead. So I wrote to a woman, one of them was a guidance counselor and one of them was a teacher. Yes, they are examples to our youth, and if you heard the language they used toward me. So I wrote and I said, you are a perfect fit for this segment that I'm working on right now about online bullying, and we'd love to interview you about the rest of your life and the people in it. Would you be interested in being a part of this? One woman writes back and she's like, when I said you were airheaded, I meant it constructive. And I was like, so I
meant that as a compliment.
Yeah, and then right away she's throwing out every other troll and she's like, there are people that are worse on here. I said, keep your eye out for me because we're going to need a lot of people in this segment.
And you'll find
plenty. If you change your mind, please let me know because you would be perfect
but see, for
the spot.
I wonder if people, right? I wonder if people would would do that face to face. Whoopi, we've talked about that. Like I call them Twitter trolls with keyboard courage, right? You know, that live in their mama's basements, basically, and they're coming after you, and they're coming after you. I had a woman recently who actually sent me a personal email, so I felt special. But she says about my Puerto Rico report, you should have asked Carmen Cruz, another corrupt government official, when she plans on getting her hair done at the salon. Oh, God. That whole country, Puerto Rico is not a country, by the way, was a storm and will continue to be. Perhaps you should all start taking a knee, including your son.
Wow.
So I said, you're a miserable person. I will pray for you. But then she goes further. She says, I will pray for you too and hope you and your family get attacked by illegals or refugees.
Ask her if she wants to do my segment.
Yes, yes.
I want her.
I mean, a personal email. I said, still praying for you.
The internet works both ways. You can expose
She
that.
sent me a personal email.
But here's the interesting thing that everybody should know, including all of our people who are watching and listening.
Who are tweeting right
when
now.
I say save your tweets, it's because we get this all day every day. And so I don't want people wasting their time, because
that's why I don't.
We don't, you know, we're not playing. We're doing our job. We're doing what we're supposed to be doing. Perhaps if people spent more time at their jobs, they would not have as much time to do this. We'll be right back.
You can still get in on Oprah's gift list this season. We partnered with vendors for half off her favorite things for the holidays. So get to viewyourdeal.com now.
Welcome back. Yesterday we were talking about the black dad who wondered if his kids could really be friends with white people. Now, a black woman in Georgia is trying to do something about that. She's helping throw the first Come Meet a Black Person event in Lawrenceville, Georgia. Now, she says she was inspired by a statistic that she read, that 75% of white people say they have no black or non-white friends. So I don't see anything wrong with, because if you come from a town that doesn't have black folks in it, it's not a bad thing to meet them. Particularly if you come into the big city, you're going to see a lot of us.
Yeah.
We talk about when you're,
well, that's true.
When you're worried about issues and being political, we always say if it doesn't become personal, you'll never vote on that issue. So there have been times where Sunny and I have spoken about things, and she's like, but as a woman of color, this would be my issue. And I said, but if you're talking to someone that doesn't know anyone that's black, that never has like walked in the shoes through other experiences, why would they ever make that their voting issue? So until you make it personal, you can't ask people to get on board with a movement forward.
I think it's very
But it shouldn't be just personal. There are higher goals out there than just what happens to you.
Yeah, but I have to say, like, my parents, and my brother's gay, I always bring this up, but they, for the longest time at first with religion, just felt it was wrong. Over time, because they would never, ever push my brother away, they loved him enough to grow. And it wasn't where their heart started, it was where it ended. They now get it, and they care because of my brother.
The only thing that was odd to me is that this event is in Lawrenceville, Georgia, and it's only 32 miles from Atlanta. Atlanta's full of black folk.
Yes,
it got so many people that
it's going to be a big event.
But as you know, Sonny, as you know, many states in the South, many states in the Midwest have little enclaves that you know, folks maybe drive through, but not living there.
That's true.
So, and also,
that's true.
In a funny way, Joy, you're right, but in a funny way, you're wrong. Because I think most people these days, if they don't understand, if they can't take it into themselves, on gay issues, you know, so many folks, older folks, they just don't understand. It's never been part of their lives. So sometimes you have to meet people and realize that my sexuality has nothing to do with my personality.
Or that we're not that different
and we're
from
not
each other
that different. So I think it's important.
But I will
say it fast. Say it fast.
I'll say it. I was saying, when I went to law school in South Bend, Indiana, one of my girlfriends invited me over to her house. She's white. I was the first black person they'd ever had in their home.
And if you're the first one, imagine how they feel about me. We'll be right back.
Real
Welcome back. So,
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
People magazine has crowned this year's sexiest man alive, Blake Shelton. And apparently no one's more surprised than he is about this, because his first reaction was, y'all must be running out of people.
That's cute.
So we want to say congrats to Blake. And the question came up, who else would you nominate this year? And they asked the table.
Well, I pick Jake Tapper from CNN.
Oh, my God.
I think he's very nice. Yes. I like him because he's really, really smart. And he's kind of cute.
He's really nice,
But for the gay version of People magazine, I pick Don Lemon.
Oh, yeah. I love Don Lemon.
Yes. Who else? Who else?
They tried to get me to change my answer because Sonny had already represented for us, but it's known that we share a love of
we share him.
Idris Elba.
Yeah. He's so sexy. I was shocked he wasn't the People magazine choice this year.
But for him, the issue needs to have a button where it talks to you like a card, because that's British accent.
Who did you pick?
Paul Ryan, because I love Paul Ryan. Yeah. And I'm, you guys, give me a break. You guys booing in here.
I think it's the picture. I think it's the picture.
So I get that, whatever, but I am marrying a very conservative man, and all of a sudden I'm, turned on by conservative intelligence. So give me a break with this, but I will say, thank you. He'll appreciate that, Sarah. My fiance and her husband look like they could be brothers or cousins.
Yeah.
And I had this moment where I was like, Sarah and I are attracted to the same type
Clearly
of
we have the same
physical
type.
man.
I can't get on board with that Paul Ryan.
But I like, but Idris Elba, I think, I would be hard-pressed to find a woman who doesn't find Idris Elba attractive.
He's a pretty man.
Can we all say that we want him to be the next James Bond, too?
Yeah.
Right now. Please.
Idris.
Yeah.
He's got the British accent. He's
Nobody's
got
watching
the look.
James Bond anymore.
Oh, how
He was on.
I'm sorry, that is not true.
I'm watching.
Yeah.
That is actually not true.
I thought it jumped the shark with Sean Connery myself.
No.
What?
Daniel Craig?
Yeah.
Daniel Craig
I know, but it's not the way it was in the old days.
But his name is going around.
We'll be right back.
Next,
I sponsor your Little League teams.
millions of fans have been laughing at The Simpsons but does the hit show have a serious racism problem?
How many of you had to deal with being called a poo or that being referenced?
Comedian Hari Kondabolu says he's revealing the problem with a poo.
It's all pop culture trivia, but it gets pretty intense.
Tomorrow, one of the most successful men in showbiz, Tyler Perry, shares how his faith carried him through failure and helped him become a one-man entertainment empire. Plus, Oscar winner John Ridley exposes how a decade of racial tension and police brutality exploded at the 1992 LA riots, and if history could repeat itself.
The Simpsons, the beloved, respected sitcom that's become a staple of pop culture. People call it edgy, insightful, and on the pulse of political and social issues. But you will never watch it the same way again after you see the new documentary, The Problem with a Poo. Take a look.
How many of you had to deal with being called a poo or that being referenced?
The Simpsons stereotypes all races. The problem is we didn't have any other representation. Cabby, 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 deli, deli. Doctor.
Do you know that a white guy does the voice?
A white guy doing an impression of a white guy making fun of my father.
How do you feel about that?
Oh, I'm making a movie about how much I dislike it.
Please welcome comedian Hari Kondabolu. I couldn't do it, man. I couldn't do it.
Hari Kondabolu.
Yeah.
Thank you, Hari Kondabolu.
That's a cute name. I like it. Yeah, it's musical.
I just figured I'm going to keep saying it until it turns like Galifianakis. People will get it.
Yes. We'll take it. Yes, thank you. Now, Hari, what started all of this? What started this?
I used to write on a TV show called Totally Biased with my friend W. Kamau Bell. It was amazing.
Yes.
Right? And Kamau used to have his writers do some of the bits on the show, correspond, because he wanted us to have authentic points of view on the show, right? So Mindy Kaling was getting a new show. I wanted to write about it, but I wanted to talk about the history of South Asian representation. And I felt it was really corny, like, oh, people talk about this stuff all the time. Why am I repeating it? And Kamau's like, what are you talking about? Like, you and your community have talked about this for 25 years. Nobody else thinks about it. And when the clip went online and it went viral, I realized there was something deeper in this, and especially in the Apu part, because The Simpsons is this global show. It's our biggest representation, and Apu is the only representation we had as South Asians for at least 15 to 20 years.
All over television, you mean?
All over television, all over the world,
Incredible. And I, you know, myself included, I don't think people knew that it was voiced by a white actor. And how significantly it affected your community. You grew up in Queens. How were you affected by this characterization?
You know, it's funny. I feel like Queens is like the most diverse place in the world. I feel whenever people talk about like a future with multiple languages and different cultures, I'm like, oh, you're just talking about Queens? Like Jackson Heights? I mean, it'll be fine, and the food's going to be better. Like it'll be good. And I feel like growing up there, I didn't feel like I was a minority in the same way, because I wasn't. Like I had the whole world there. And I think a lot of people of color, I think we have that point, I would say probably all of us, where we realize that, oh, we're a person of color. Like, you get racialized, right? And for me, it wasn't necessarily through my community, because we were all from somewhere. It was watching the media and realizing, hey, nobody in my community's on TV. This is a clue. And then I went to college in Maine, and that was a bigger clue.
That'll do it. Hank Azaria, who I worked with once, he's a very talented guy.
Very talented.
Hank Azaria voices Apu, and you asked him to be in the documentary. He declined.
Yes. I mean, it's funny. We had actually a phone conversation, you know, not on camera. It was just between us, because we were exchanging emails, and he was really polite. And, you know, when I was on the phone with him, I was like, because I'm a huge Simpsons fan, so I was fanning out immediately.
But he pretty much cops to the stereotype that is Apu, right?
He says it's a stereotypical voice. You know, he was asked to do it. He acknowledged it was stereotypical, but I don't think they expected it to go 30 years. You know, they probably expected it to go a handful of years. And now all of a sudden you have this this fossil on television. Apu is like, it's like he's trapped in amber. It doesn't make sense in this era.
Well, they can change his occupation or whatever.
That's what I'm
Why don't they let him grow?
And why wasn't he in the documentary? All through the documentary, I was like, okay, where's Hank? Where's Hank? But he declined to be in it.
When we were on the phone, you know, one thing he said is he felt uncomfortable with the idea of me controlling the edit, which, again, it's the idea of someone else controlling your image is very privileged. But, like, there was something to that. He said that, you
Irony,
know.
huh?
But he said that, like, you know, if we did it on Fresh Air with Terry Gross, or WTF with Mark Maron, like a bigger forum, then at least I would be held accountable. And I said yes, because I think the film is about accountability. The film is about open communication. The film is about these bigger issues. And I think that it would have been great to show an example of two adults who have a disagreement, even if it's a small one. Even this isn't the biggest issue in the world, but it's something that we could have had a really nice dialogue about. So it kind of bummed me out when at the end of the day he still said no.
Well, I think you know, once somebody makes you aware of something, it's hard to be unaware of it again. And so you have to figure out how you're going to roll with it. But you know...
It's a missed opportunity, I think, for him in many ways. But Whoopi didn't miss the opportunity because you were in the film. Why did you think having that point of view was important to this film?
The black point of view.
Well, no, she talked about the minstrel era.
I feel like we need to have context, you know, for when we talk about things like this. Like, this isn't isolated, the idea of South Asians, you know, being these caricatures. I mean, it comes back to the history of minstrelsy in this country. And when we were talking, you have a collection of Black Americana, which you call your Negrobilia collection. Which I had to ask you multiple times if I was allowed to say that. And,
which made me hysterical because, you know, we were colored. Then we were Negroes. And somehow people forgot about the Negro, and it's become a bad word. So I call my collection Negrobilia. Come for me if you think you need to.
Well, when that stuff came out, is when people are being called Negroes.
Well, you know, I mean,
I've seen
yes,
it.
and you have to know. Well, it doesn't offend me because it's what it was. It's not what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why a poo is so important. That's why this conversation, because 99% of us never thought about it.
Yes.
Unless we were South Asian, we didn't notice that someone else was going through it. And that's the whole point. And the thing that Harry also says is this is not about The Simpsons.
Right.
This is bigger than The Simpsons. This is about how we interact with each other and why we don't see when our brother or sister is missing from somewhere.
That's right. So that's why you have to stick up for yourself.
Yeah.
But your Twitter page has filled with people saying that you're angry, you're too sensitive, too politically correct. How do you answer that?
Most of the people who say that about the film haven't seen the film. And most of the people that say that about me just heard about me about 2 days ago.
So in other words, they're accusing you of that because you're sticking up for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that, you know, Whoopi, we had an event last time. Whoopi said this last night. When people say things are politically correct, that just means, oh, you're just upset we're finally standing up for ourselves.
That's right. Because you can't say anything. But I wanted to point your mom out because I'm told that you say that you got a lot of your humor.
Oh, yeah.
From her.
She said that in the documentary.
Was he funny as a kid?
Sometimes.
She was great in the documentary.
Yeah.
One thing, we did reach out to The Simpsons, and they say they have no comment. But going back to what you said, Whoopi, you've said it's not about The Simpsons, and it's also about the people that are at the room at the table making decisions. What do you mean by that?
I mean, this was created by white male writers, right? So it's the idea that, like, someone else controls our image. And I think that's what we all want, whether we're people of color, women, LGBTQ community, the ability to control our own image.
So we're controlling your image because we love you. We want you to come back anytime. Thanks to Harry. His documentary, The Problem with Our Pool, premieres on True TV this Sunday, November 19th. He'll be performing his stand-up at the Fox Theater in Oakland on December 1st, and we will be right back.
Aunts and uncles, you can give children the world this year with the award-winning Little Passports, one of my favorites. It's a gift that keeps on giving all year long with monthly packages that take your kids around the globe. Here to show them off, please welcome Kelly Moore. I love this stuff.
Yes, and I'm so excited because we're starting off by sending kids into space. I mean, hello. So we're starting with the Stars and Planet Kit. And we're going to make a solar system. So who doesn't love a solar system, right? And this kit is a lot of fun. So you're going to start by painting, and I'm going to give you the sun.
Hey, that's really easy. Nobody lets me paint, people.
So the sun is the easiest thing. We've already sanded it. So start here. And you're just going to use the yellow paint. Now, it comes with a stand, and I've got to tell you, this is for ages 9 and up. And when I was doing this, I was like, oh, maybe this is for people 9 and up, like to my age, because I was like, what planet goes where?
I was just going to say, are you smarter than a fifth grader?
I know,
Maybe not.
I know. So you just, when you're done painting them, you just go ahead and you stick them on.
And it has like a little chart here.
Yep, and you just go ahead and stick them on, and these are great. You can put them on your kids' desks, and they come with cards, so you can look at the stars, and it tells you about the stars, so you learn all along the way.
I'm just telling you, the toys that teach keep your kid invested. Like, they keep them busy. And I love rain sticks.
Oh my gosh. So this kit is the Kenyan rain stick kit, right? And this is for ages 6 to 10. Hi,
I'm sorry, but this would work for a 20-month-old. I can vouch for that.
Yeah, because listen, every kid likes to make noise, right?
Oh, yeah, and this is more peaceful than the ones he chooses.
Right, and I would even use this at night to go to sleep.
Oh, I love this.
Right? So I'm going to start you. I started the project for you, but you can go ahead and decorate the back with the marker. You have all these things at home. This is the finished product. You can use a gift.
Oh my gosh, that looks beautiful.
Right? So you can use the gift wrap or a paper towel. I used a paper towel roll, and what I did was I started just by rolling it up with some construction paper. And then I decorated it first.
You bedazzled that.
Let me tell you, I love some glitter. So I used some glitter Scotch tape. I rolled it up, and then I painted it. And then what you do is you're going to take some aluminum foil.
Okay.
Okay? You're going to roll it up like a snake. You're going to stick it in. You're going to take a tablespoon of rice.
That's what's making it fall. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
That's what makes the noise. Then what you're going to do is you're just going to take this on top. You're going to rubber band it on both sides.
Okay.
And that's it. Then you end up with your Kenyan rain stick.
I'm clearly not creative enough. This stuff is so fun.
All right.
This is the stuff we shouldn't eat, right?
Right. Don't you wish
I need those warnings ahead of time.
I wish this were cookie dough, right?
I know.
So this is for kids ages 3 to 5 for preschoolers.
I love dinosaurs.
This is the dinosaur kit.
I love this.
I know. So once again, you have this stuff at home. You got to pick up the dinosaur toys, but you're going to make the dough.
Okay.
So you're going to take 2 cups flour, a cup of salt, and 3/4 cup of
We're
water.
going to trust the
right?
measurements.
And then you're going to make the dough. So you're just going to stir that on up.
Okay.
I like to use a cookie cutter because it's super easy.
Okay.
Right? And then all you do is you take a dinosaur, and you have all these choices.
There's so many. They're cute. There's pterodactyls.
I know. How do you know that?
Because I kind of nerded out as a child.
Oh, my gosh. You're going to take your dinosaur, and you're going to just stick it in the dough like that.
Okay.
Press it in. Now, you can take the time to talk to your kids about, paleontologists, looking for fossils.
Yes.
Excavations of things.
Okay.
And then what you're going to do is you're going to bake this at 200 for an hour.
Okay.
If it's thicker, you're going to want to bake it for 2 to 3 hours and just keep your eye on it.
Okay.
You can paint them gold inside. You can paint them colors. You can actually put a hole in the top and put them on for an ornament on a tree.
Oh.
Yeah?
This is so cute.
Okay.
I love those dinosaurs. This is going to get messy.
This is a messy project.
Okay.
But what kid doesn't like to make a mess, right?
What mom doesn't like to make
Yeah, I know. So this is preschoolers age 3 to 5 again. And this is to explore art. Okay. So it's Jackson Pollock, American artist.
Let's paint.
His style was a drip and flick. So this
Drip and flip. It sounds like Legally Blonde.
Right?
Okay.
So we're just going to drip like this. And you want to mix colors. And then you're going to flick.
Friends help friends. Oh, my gosh. This is fun. I love the dinosaurs, but the Jackson Pollock just won.
I could do this all day long.
No, I could. Maybe you can invite your kids to join. A big thank you to Kelly Moore, our sponsor, Little Password. Today, viewers at home will receive 15% off subscriptions online, and members of the audience are going home with a 6-month subscription of their choice.